welcome back to another episode of the Full Fletch Podcast. Brooks, you've been looking forward to this one.
I have been looking forward to this one.
Big meathead over here.
Mr. Protein!
I think we
pre-workout,
brought
bro?
this one up in sometime in the fall, and it was like, oh yeah, or maybe like towards the later part of deer season, and it was just like, oh yeah, we can talk about it later. And you're like, no, anytime, every time. It's always good to talk
It's
about
always
fitness.
good. Fitness!
I was like, all right. So we were talking, well, what can we talk about? Oh, it's time. It's time to talk about it. All right, let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
But no, I'm on the same page as you. I mean, I'm not as gung ho in the fitness department. I haven't really truly worked out in quite some time, but I do work outside, like out in the outdoors, and so I get my steps in. I don't. I'll have to look and see how many steps I'm at almost 15,000 today. So
Oh,
I mean,
that's a lot.
yeah, just from work. So it's like, hey, I get my movement in. So it's not necessarily working out. I could be better about lifting and stuff like that, but we'll get into all that. But yeah, not as gung ho, but I'm on the same page. It's always a good time to get started if you're not doing something already.
Yep, agreed. It's always a good time to get started.
Yeah, we were talking. I was like, well, it's not really time to start prepping for next year. And then you said it. You're like, it's always time to start prepping for next year. I'm like, that's actually 100% true. I
I mean, I get you
foot in
saddle
mouth.
hunters
Yeah.
who can just sit up in the tree and you're like, oh, look at me. I'm just kidding.
There's a little bit of working out that I realized has to be done to be in shape enough to do that consistently the way we do it, or the way I do it, rather.
A lot of rope climbs, you know?
Yeah. Shit. So, no, I don't know. This is kind of your baby. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, I mean, we could kind of talk about, now, I'm not going to say, I'm an expert or anything when it comes to the fitness world. I like to work out a lot, and I see the value, especially being out here out west, of being in shape and being strong and eating the right foods while you're in the backcountry, and just overall being prepped and ready to go for the season. And I think that's just I'll watch YouTube videos, or see reels on Instagram, and guides would be people ask a guide what's the first thing that you notice when, or it's what's the when do you realize it's going to be a really long hunt for this guy, whoever they're guiding, and the majority of the time the first thing they say is their fitness level.
Yeah. Just
Especially
looking
if
at them.
just looking at them. If they're fat and out of shape,
Yeah.
it's going to be a long week for them.
Yeah. It's like,
Especially out
buddy, you should have signed up for one where you can take the side by sides everywhere.
right, yeah, and yeah, because it's it's funny because this last season, even we were running up and down ridges, and even I was gassed, and I was like, I need more cardio, man, straight up, because we were chasing elk, and so we were booking it. We got our packs on, we're booking it. We're at about 9,000 feet.
Yeah.
It's no joke up there.
For sure.
And so yeah, that is one thing that I've been continually getting better at, is just getting more cardio
Yeah.
in me. Because yeah, it's great to do all the lifts, the bench, the squats, the deadlifts, the rows, the whatever all those fun ones. But if cardio wise, if you're really not in shape for the mountains, it's gonna be a rough time.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not conditioned, your lungs and cardio,
Mhm.
obviously. But yeah,
Mhm.
if your lungs aren't used to that workload, you're setting yourself up for not great things.
Right. Because if you're chasing a bull up and down ridges and you finally have a 30-yard clear shot on him, but you're absolutely gassed, and you try to pull back on your bow, you might not even be able to pull it back.
Right. Or if you do pull it back, it's like nowhere
You're really
close to steady
shaky.
Eddie. You're shaking like a leaf. Not
Right.
not because it's a big bull, but because you just have no stamina left.
Right. Exactly. Obviously, there is buck fever when it comes to that
Big
stuff.
animals, yeah,
Big animals, they're coming right in front of you, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is actually happening."
right,
But yeah, I guess we can talk about just and like I said before, I'm no fitness expert, but I do enjoy working out, and I do see the value in it. And kind of like Justin was saying, oh, we can get started uh, around here, and then I said, oh no, it's now is the time to start. This was October, which
yeah,
is true because I mean, the earlier you can get started, the better.
for sure.
So,
Yeah,
and then go ahead.
I was just thinking, because in my mind, I was like, we're still in like the middle of season. It's like not time to prepare, but it's also like I was thinking like so narrow-minded of like, okay, deer hunter in the southeast, yeah, you're
Mm,
typically not doing a whole lot of spot and stock and things like that. Like, yeah, you kind of have a couple months of actual hunting left where it's like, okay, you can start for next year and be like, okay, it's kind of slowly get into some stuff. But then
mm.
there's like a whole other part of the country where their hunting season is basically done, like elk wise and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, they should be starting right now. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the thing about living out west is we're very we have very minimal hunting seasons here, which
Yeah.
is
The
unfortunate.
scheduling is different when you got different types of game and it's all kind of based around breeding season. It just throws a wrench in it. And so kind of forget like, oh, they're on a whole different scheduling of planning their seasons than maybe I am. This is probably not, again, I'm also not an expert, but this is probably the closest thing, aside from firsthand experience, the closest thing to being an expert that we've talked about. Because my
Hmm.
degree was in sport and exercise science with a
Hmm.
emphasis in coaching. So I have some like exercise physiology and like some of
Hmm.
that stuff, some knowledge. Again, not not an expert, but it's like
Right.
I kind of have a little bit of an idea, and so I'm not totally pulling things out of thin air. But
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
was
I
kind of
mean,
cool. I did the strength and conditioning. Like I coached that at the last school I taught at or coached at, and so that was fun to be in charge of that and write programs for guys, lifting programs.
so did you do just your baseball, your just your team, or did you
Yeah,
do other
yeah. It
just your
was just
team?
it was just for the team. So
Yeah.
I it was like I had it split pitchers and hitters a little bit different. Like they do like the same muscle groups with like different variations of a certain lift.
Right.
So like
Nice.
position players, I didn't care. They could do whatever type of bench they
Yes.
wanted. Pitchers,
Yes, get out.
they would do single arm dumbbell press or dumbbell
Mm,
bench, both arm at the same time, whatever. Just doing dumbbells instead of barbells, just
mm,
for different, all sorts of different reasons. But
yeah.
yeah, so I wrote those plans, and then any guys who wanted like extra work because we only lifted we typically like in the fall we'd lift 2 or 3 times a week, and so it's like
Mm,
some guys are like, hey, I want to lift like 4 or 5, what can I do on these other days? And it's like, all right, I'll write you like a third day or a fourth day, fifth day program. And so it was
mhm.
fun to do because then it was like you got to consider like for us it was like you're also playing baseball or trying to get better at baseball, so like yeah, it's good to be in the weight room, but don't let the weight room take away from the baseball, because if you're not doing any good on the field, you're not going to be in the lineup. Yeah, you might be the strongest guy, but if you're not performing, you're not going to make the lineup. So it was a
Yeah.
whole different like perspective of like, hey, you got to have some balance on this. But
Hmm.
I guess that can kind of play into this too. Of you know, yeah, you can be as strong as an ox in the weight room and lift all the time, but if you're not functional, like
Yeah.
if you can't make it up the mountain, you can't you don't if you don't have any stamina come season, it's all for naught.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, everyone thinks they're ready for the mountains until they hit that first ridge, and then they're like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready.
Yeah. It's like you order you go to a restaurant, you order this, that, and an appetizer, and it's a big old plate of food, and oh, I think I'm gonna
Mhm.
get dessert, and all right, hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and put in that order, and then it's like, oh, your eyes were bigger than your stomach.
Yep. Exactly.
then when you're booking that trip and you're scheduling that trip for a week long in the mountains, and it's like your eyes were bigger than your stamina and your
Mhm.
actual ability.
Yeah. So I guess like what the question is, like what could we do to be better prepared for the next season? I think there's definitely a lot of things us hunters can do. And you don't even have to do like bench squat or deadlift. I mean that's totally up to you. And like there's different programs out there like Hunt Hike Harvest here in Denver. Joel and Jason do a really good job with that. There's Mountain Tough, there's Elk Shape. There's plenty of workouts that are geared towards hunters and plenty of programs, plenty of trainers, whoever it may be. It's just, I guess, deciding of who you want to work with at the end of the day. Or you could, or if like you already know what you need, then you can just program on your own, which is totally fine too. Me personally, my gym I go to right now, it's more of a athlete's type of gym. It's called V23, and it caters more towards like high rocks, CrossFit, strongman, powerlifting. It's definitely more generalized than like I say, if you go to Hunt Hike Harvest with Joel and Jason up in Denver, you're just getting hunting type workouts. If
Yeah,
you go to Rocky Mountain Strength, that's over here as well. They're gear their athletes more towards mountain athletes, essentially. So it's just like for me, I go to my gym because I like that gym. Everyone's really cool. There's a few hunters. I mean, I originally went to that gym to train for the tactical games anyway, so that's why I kind of just stuck there. And but I can still like I'll work out. I'll go for class 3 days a week and then do 2 days on my own. So that's how at least our programming is right now. But definitely, like last year, I did 1 day of cardio. This year, I'm doing two,
yeah,
2 days of cardio. And definitely one of those days is rucking. And I think rucking is one of the best things you can do
hmm
as a hunter. It's just, hey, let's throw some weight in a pack and ruck. Just walk. Sorry. Just throw weight in a pack and walk. That's what rucking is.
yeah,
So
for sure.
that's kind of like then I'll do like a lot of like bike erg or rows or ski erg or running, just kind of stuff like that, and just to get that cardio base going. Because
Right.
like 4 days, so essentially it'd be a six day workout program for me. Because Mondays and Thursdays are upper body lifts, and then Wednesdays and Fridays are lower body lifts. So that would leave Tuesday, Saturday, or Sunday it's cardio days.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha.
or if you're crazy, you can just go 2 days,
Yeah.
which there's plenty of guys out there.
Oh yeah. They just get after it twice a day, every day. So take us back and so kind of if you can, I know the brain doesn't brain sometimes, but take us back to like a year ago, pre like prepping for hunting season slash tactical games. What was your workout routine looking like then? And then,
Honestly, sorry, go ahead.
well, and then I was gonna say, and then like, what did you notice you needed to change aside from cardio? You mentioned that. Was there anything else you felt like you needed to adjust after having your first season of getting up in the mountains?
Probably, oh, definitely more rucking for
Yeah.
sure.
So you'd say your workout routine was basically the same last year.
Hmm.
This year, the only changes going into tactical games slash hunting season would be rucking as
Rucking
is
and just
one of them.
essentially, yeah, and then doing just getting a more cardio and zone two for sure. Um, and I would say that's probably the changes that I made. Now we'll see come September if it's all panned out. Or I mean, I guess not necessarily May, June, and July when I go to Western Hunt Fest and do the pack out challenge. That'll really kind of test like, okay, where is my fitness level? Do I need to improve anything before I decide to go chase an elk in September? So
No,
yeah,
I feel like that's a big advantage and a good like pre-season. test to, like you said, see where you're at, get a baseline, and be like, how screwed am I? Or am I prepared on the physical side?
Right. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, like what the pack out challenge is at Western Hunt Fest, it's essentially how it sounds. It's a simulated pack out, and then I don't know what they're gonna do this year, but what we did last year was so men would do like 250 pounds. It'd be an elk pack out, essentially simulated elk pack out. Women was a mule deer pack out, I think at like 180 or so. And so essentially you gotta take half that elk, half mile out, half mile back, drop it, repack the other half of the elk out and back. That was like the pack out challenge. And man, like some guys like just ridiculous times, man. They were just so in shape. I was amazed by it.
Yeah,
And I didn't do it last year because I was helping out. I was helping out with it. I was like working it. So it wasn't
right.
like, now, do I regret not doing it? Kind of, yeah. But that's why I'm doing it this year. I'm competing this year. I'm not working it this year, so that'd be good.
Yeah, right on. Right on. Yeah. Kind of walk us through. You said you got upper body on certain days, lower body other days, and so on. Kind of take us through what do your like upper body days look like?
So it pretty much depends on the day. So Mondays are usually, it's like, hey, it's gonna be uh, a heavy chest day with some back and shoulders. And then at the end, it's going to be like yesterday. Like for us, it was, all right, we're going to build to a 5 rep max on bench. And so build to that. And then we did one handed dumbbell bench press right after, along with croc rows into dips. And then our finisher, we always do a finisher. This is why I like this gym so much, is because it's called, this is the strength programming, but it's more of a functional strength than a powerlifting where you go in and do 2 reps on bench and then sit there for 10 minutes. Completely different, which is what I like about it. But like our finisher yesterday was, all right, you got 10 calories on the ski erg as fast as you can with a partner. Yesterday was with two, so 3 total yesterday on each erg, and then into 10 push-ups, and then rest for a little bit, and then right back on the erg for 10. And we did that for 10 times. So 10 cals, 10 times.
Gotcha.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. But I like it because like we'll do the same thing on like leg day. Like what we'll do on legs is like we'll do uh like if it's a heavy squat day, we'll do squats, we'll do different type of single leg movements. We'll do it'll vary on squats too. Sometimes it's Zerker squats, sometimes it's front squats, sometimes it's back squats, sometimes it's box squats. So it always varies, which is what I like. And like Zerkers, if you haven't done Zerkers before, they suck. And for those of you who don't know who what Zerkers is, essentially if you guys seen it before, pretty much lift the bar with your arms essentially, and you have to pretty much hold it here and squat
Yeah, you're holding it in the crease of your elbows.
in the crease. Yeah, and it definitely kills, but it's good. I do like that one a lot.
Big time
So
core
like,
engagement.
right, so like a good finisher for those type of days, because we'll do deadlifts, we'll do squats one day, deadlifts another day, and the good finishers we like to do is sled sprints or sled pushes to sled pulls. Sled sprints, I would rather do sled pushes, but it's like it would be like a build. So you would start with like 2 plates, go down, pull it back, and then go 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates, and then back down again, essentially. Killer finisher for sure. Or it'd be like, hey, we got assault bike sprints, 10 calories for 10 rounds or something like that. Or um it'll be like a kettlebell, like, hey, we're gonna go double kettlebell swing, kettlebell hang cleans, kettlebell thrusters, then I think into like uh like a couple pull-ups or something like that. And you would have to do those four for as many reps as possible in 15 minutes. So an AMRAP. So yeah, stuff like that. That's what I like about it, because yes, we do get we build a lot of strength. We do target certain muscle groups, but we do those finishers, which is great because it keeps that cardio capacity up there. That way, when it comes to our like my regular cardio days, I don't feel as gassed. Now, when we do sprint stuff like yesterday, I was gassed,
Yeah,
straight gas.
right.
Anyone would be really like,
Yeah. Well, it's a different zone. It's more, you know, as opposed to stamina based, it's more like short spurt.
right, exactly. And I mean, you and I come from a baseball background, and that's what a lot of it was a lot of short burst type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Max effort for a short period of time, but having to do that over and over again.
Yep,
So
exactly.
baseball is a little different in some aspects where it's like you have to know like your limit on how much your max effort. Like you could go max effort, but then you're done after like a couple innings, which like pitchers, that's where you kind of have to find your fine line of like, yeah, you can go max effort, but how much stamina do you have at that max effort? And so do you have to
Right.
like tone it back and be like, okay, in all reality, it's like 90%, but this is
Mhm.
like if I go 90% all the time, I'm gonna go, as a starting pitcher, 8 innings, 9 innings, no problem. And like building your stamina for that. So,
Exactly. And I mean, I think that's why
but yeah,
a lot of
gasser
pitchers and
sprints is tough. That's always tough.
gassers. Yeah, I remember. Shoot, Finney would have us do 69s, and for those of you who don't know, Justin coached with Finney. I played under Finney. Essentially, a 69 is 6 triangles in 9 minutes. Horrible.
Yeah, a triangle. You start at home plate. You go to you always designate which direction you're going, so nobody's running into each other. Everybody's going the same direction.
We always went to the left field foul pole first.
Yeah, he really messed with heads a couple of times. He'd be like, "All right, we're going to right field," and you could only do it like twice in a year.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, 69 going to right field, and like everybody be lined up going to left field, and then like he wouldn't blow the whistle because he's like, "You idiots!" just to mess with their heads. And it's like,
Yep.
oh man, you're brutal. But yeah, so you
That's
start at
funny.
home plate, you go to one foul pole, you cut straight across the outfield to the other foul pole, and then come back
Mhm.
to home plate, makes a triangle.
Yep.
And then
Ugh.
yeah, you got to do six of those in 8 minutes and 59 seconds because 9 minutes you don't pass.
Well, I never passed, so I
That
literally
doesn't
never
surprise
made.
me. No offense.
I The closest I got was when he yelled 9 minutes and I was touching the right field foul pole. That was the closest I ever got. And then it's funny because like I was like, okay, I'm like really improving on these. And then we just stopped doing them for like a little bit. And then we do it again and I was like, "Ugh."
I can't.
And I remember Finney's like, Benson, are you ever gonna finish one? I was like, oh,
No.
I'm ready. No.
We had one guy never, which I'm sure it happens like every once, one guy like every team like
Hmm.
never fails it. We had
Hmm.
one guy uh for 2 years in a row. He never failed. And he was always like first to get his gear, and it was like, all right, dude, like we're just gonna go. We're at the point like you're because I think he redshirted. It was just like, all right, dude, we're just gonna give you your gear and like you're not gonna screw up or anything. Super good kid, like
Hmm.
nailed conditioning all the time, 69s. And it's just like, what's the point of even making you do this? Like, we almost feel bad making you do it now because it's like, we know you're gonna get it. We know you can get
Yeah.
it backwards. Like, oh well, no. Here, have a hat.
Yeah. Some people are just they run like a deer, man, and it's crazy. Anyways.
Going back to it, functional movements and stuff like that, like it's not necessarily scripted for like an archery hunter or rifle hunter or anything like that, like you said. So, what would you say are like the best movements in your opinion that like apply to hunting, like especially archery hunting?
Probably a lot of single leg movements for sure, and then obviously upper with your shoulders when because you want to pull the bow back and everything. But like if we're talking like like we got to crawl up a mountain. Definitely a lot of single leg stuff, and I think most guys would agree with me on that.
Hmm.
I'm no expert, but I mean, because it just makes sense. At the end of the day, you're going up that ridge, you're going up that mountain. It's one leg at a time. Boom, 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 boom. So it is really like you doing like barbell lunges or Bulgarian split squats. God forbid, I hate those, but they're great. I mean, if you love Bulgarian split squats, let's be real, you're a psychopath. Like a legit psychopath. Like reverse lunges, forward lunges, Bulgarian split squats, barbell lunges, half field lunges. I mean, there's so many variations that you can do for single leg,
Yeah.
lateral lunges. Like that's really gonna, and then doing a lot of hip mobility with that as well,
Hmm.
because we're going over deadfall a ton out here. There is like where I hunted this past year, there was deadfall everywhere, and so
Yeah.
it was like you're running up that ridge, but you're also freaking trying to get over deadfall. And you fall a couple times, like you're like, God damn it, like that hurt. But you just keep going because you're like, I need to get to that elk.
Right.
And and then like upper body stuff for like archery, I would say like there's this guy I follow. I have to look at his profile. I think I can't remember his name, but he gives like certain exercises for archers for their upper body, their shoulders, definitely like a lot of band stuff. Now, like lifting wise, I mean, you can obviously there's a bunch of stuff you can do. I mean, pretty much I would say like as you can pretty much do anything upper body, just make sure you're doing mobility as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's kind of where my thought process is like everything you like for me, and this is the kind of the way I was with baseball too, was like whatever you do, make it have a purpose. Like,
mhm,
yeah, squat, but don't like squats and deadlifts and things like that. Like you can find a way that those apply, but it's like, okay, but like how strong are all of your like tens of muscles in your shoulder? Like how strong are all of those? Like all of your small muscles, like
right.
and your retractors in your scap and stuff like that. Like, are you able to pull back your 70-pound bow like at the standard archery hunter? Are you able to pull back that 70-pound bow like 100 times a week
Hmm.
on the low end, like for practice with no issue? If yes, okay, great. Like you're probably like you're strong enough. But if no, like probably not focusing on bench press as your main upper body movements, like focus on maybe some more single arm stuff and like single arm press, single arm rows, and then because it'll work the muscles differently as opposed to a barbell, which that
Right.
was kind of the same idea I was had with pitchers, was like you want those your muscle groups to be worked differently. And so, like you said, bands, I really loved bands for baseball. They're
Hmm.
great for like stability and small muscle groups that typically like it's really hard to hit certain muscle groups in your shoulder, especially with
Hmm.
a barbell or a dumbbell. Like you can do lateral raises, front raises, things like that, but
Yep.
even that, like it's not the same as doing you got your band pull aparts. You're just not getting the same movement doing a barbell movement or a dumbbell movement as you are using a band. And so, you know, the kind of route that I was trying to think of when you said you want to talk about this, because I know you're part of a gym and that's
Hmm.
something, if somebody wants to go jump in on a gym or some subscription plan, somebody writes a program for you and you go have a gym membership and you can do those movements in a gym. But I was trying to think of like, okay, we're probably going to talk about that, but how does somebody who maybe doesn't have access to a gym, doesn't want to pay for a gym membership, like things like that, where you
Hmm.
can do things from home. And
Yep.
like you said, the rucking, throwing weight in a backpack or a weighted vest, if or some sort of pretty much everybody has some sort of backpack, and especially if you're a hunter, you have your own backpack and you have things that you can weigh it down, rocks, sticks, your actual gear if you want to, and just throw it in there and walk around. go on a
Yeah.
hike. Like Caitlin and I went on a hike on Saturday, and I was like, I should probably do more of this going into next season. Because, like I said, I'm not in a position where, like hunting wise, we're not in a location where hiking tens of miles a day is what happens. You hike
Right.
in and you sit in a tree, you wait, and then you hike out.
Hmm.
But yeah, like just to be in shape to walk around and not have any issue. You know, when you get to a spot and you're like, and then you're all hot and sweaty and bothered, and it's like that was miserable. Like you don't want to make yourself miserable come hunting season. It's like do a little
Absolutely
extra
not.
working out. But no, I love the single leg stuff. Like you can do lunges and single leg squats and stuff like that at home. Body
Hmm.
weight. You can throw stuff again in your backpack, throw them on your back, and do those things. Throw them on your front, reverse the backpack, put it up on your
Hmm.
chest.
Yep.
All that's awesome, especially like in trying to relate that to like a saddle hunter or tree stand hunter. You know, for me, it was like my first three sits, when I climbed up and walking in with all my stuff, like my hips and legs were like killing me because
Hmm.
I did not ruck or walk a ton, no hiking prior to season. I did a little bit when I scouted, but it wasn't like anything crazy. And then I didn't do any like big time leg work. And then my first like three climbs up into my setup was like, holy crap, my legs are killing me. And I like took a week off from hunting because it was like, I need to I need to rest and get these legs right before I get up in another tree. So, like thinking about climbing, like when you're climbing a ladder, but with extra weight. Now, that's the way I hunt. And when you're a mobile setup guy, like you carry everything in and you carry everything up and then you carry everything back out. Guys who have private land and everything's just kind of set up and all you have to do is carry out a light backpack and a bow. Okay, maybe don't worry about it so much. When I'm a guy like me where it's like you carry everything in and you carry everything out, you
Hmm.
got to be in shape to do that. And so
Yeah, you did.
you can do like Brooks was saying, you can do so many things, lunges, single leg squats for your legs that I'm a big proponent of single leg stuff more often than double leg. You want general strength where you like throw weight on the bar and lift heavy a few times and just see how generally strong you are. Because there are times like if you need to, lift the elk to move it or something like that, and you
Yep.
like having good deadlift form and a strong deadlift. You know,
Hmm.
if you can't deadlift 300 pounds, it's like that elk. You need to turn it over while you're cleaning it, and granted, like
Hmm.
or while you're field dressing it. You've
Yeah.
taken some meat off, so it's a little bit lighter, but it doesn't mean it's 100 pounds now and it'll just flip over nice and easy. That thing can
Right.
still be pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Or getting it in position to gut it in the first place. Like you got to be strong enough especially if you're on your own, to be able to move that thing. You're not going to be
Yep.
able to rely on three people, four people there to move it for you or with you. And so there's definitely a time and place where, like deadlifts, I think is a huge one.
Hmm.
Because it works a lot of more than just your legs. Squats, I don't mind squats. I feel like you get more out of deadlifts, but it doesn't work the same thing as a squat or
Yeah.
as each other's. But no, I'm typically more of a proponent of anything single leg,
Hmm.
lighter weight, more range of motion, mobility, things like that. And then there's still a time and place for a true, like normal standard deadlift, squat, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What do you think? What do you like better? Do you like trap bar deadlift? Do you like just straight bar?
I liked for baseball players, I liked trap bar. It was a little
Hmm.
bit safer on the back and shoulders and stuff like that. I would say functionality, like so building strength, just raw strength, trap bar. Like if
Hmm.
you're trying to get your muscles big and strong, throw on the trap bar, you're gonna probably, again, I'm not an expert. I don't know for sure what you're gonna be able to move more weight with. I would
Hmm.
assume probably a trap bar, but
Definitely a trap bar.
yeah, so like, if you're just trying to get raw strength, go trap bar. But
Hmm.
honestly, a deadlift is a little bit more functional movement because like, you know, when you're moving something, you're typically not going to be able to like stand in it and lift it
Right.
up while you're standing in it. You know,
Yeah.
if you got to lift a car off of somebody, you can't just get like in the middle of the car and just be like, okay, I'm going to lift it up now. You got to be on some sort of edge, or you know,
Right.
the elk. You know, you're needing to flip that elk over, and
Hmm.
you can't get in the middle of the elk. I mean, you could if you wanted to
Yeah.
hack it up, but
Yeah. I guess
you
you
got
could.
you got to stand on one side and get underneath it and lift it up, move it over.
Right.
So
Yes.
functionality, straight bar, but if you're looking raw strength, for sure trap bar. Like if
Yep.
you're trying
I
to
would
build it.
agree. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. We do at my gym we do both trap bar and
Yeah.
uh straight bar. So
I
kind of
like
just
the idea of
depends.
mixing it up too. Like
Yeah.
one, just the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again.
Hmm.
Like in your brain, it's like I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. Well, your brain controls one, your thoughts, and also it controls your body too. It's like, okay, I'm
Yep.
doing the same thing over and over again. Like there's no adaptability, no adjustments being made. You're not,
Hmm.
shocking the system or shocking the muscles. You're not doing anything different. So then it's like, okay, the same 5 weeks in a row, 6 weeks in a row, 8 weeks in a row.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you get to hunting season and it's like, oh, I'm now doing this other movement that's not super familiar to me. And
Hmm.
your body is thinking, I don't know how to respond to this. It's different. Maybe it's not extremely different, but it is different. And I can't perform at the body can't perform at its peak because it doesn't know how to adjust or adapt. So, I like mixing it up. I'm glad you're in a situation and figured, you're going to a place that writes it out for you. I would hope that they would
Yeah.
mix it up and keep it mixed up. It keeps it fun and it keeps the
Hmm.
body on its toes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's I mean that's why I kept going there was just because I mean Bo is just really good at mixing things up. And like sometimes it feels like he just makes it up and but it works.
Hmm.
Like I'm not gonna say it doesn't. I look at him in his 40s and he's jacked. Like obviously it works.
Right.
So I mean, so yeah, I just keep going. And we got a cool community there, so a lot of cool people um there,
Yeah.
so that helps a lot.
Yeah. I always liked, if you can find a movement in the weight room that closely resembles a movement that you're trying to accomplish, like we would do a lot of, why can't I think like pal off press and stuff like that, but like not necessarily just a normal pal off press because you're not doing that a ton, but we would do like a rotational press. So, you'd have the bar kind of into the corner if you had the luxury of the actual mechanism that you slide the bar into and it can swing around, like doing lifts and swings and getting. So
What are those called?
I don't know if it has an actual name, but like we always just call them like a pal off bar or pal off
No,
sleeve.
it's like you here and then up, right?
Yeah, so like I would have the guys like facing the bar and the bar was like on the ground and then they would lift it up and turn and push like then lift it and push it with the other arm.
Oh, yep.
And
Okay,
so
I know what
it
you're
had
talking
some
about.
rotational stuff and so like for hitters, they were basically in their stance and they would get that same hip rotation, core engagement, stuff like that, and then finish through with the backside, which all that stuff was like, okay, that's relatable. And so like for hunting, it's like, okay, and it's a different movement as opposed to your standard, okay, we're just gonna dumbbell press or
Hmm.
bench press. It
Right.
was just a little bit different movement and involved different muscle groups. Like for hunting, I'm trying to think, you can do things with rows and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Inverted rows, I think, would be a different adaptation. Or like the rings, having the Olympic rings and doing rows and
Yeah.
like where you're like laying down and then you do a row and come up, those types of things.
Hmm.
I don't know what that one's called, but just mixing it up again and just doing things that are functional movements are similar to movements that you're trying to accomplish in your field. I always loved implementing those.
Yeah. And I know that, I mean, there's some people out there who are like, no, like you got to stick to these general movements and these general movements only. Nothing that like where you move like you're like you will in a game or out hunting or something like that, which I'm like, okay, that's kind of stupid. I'd rather be functional than be stiff as a board. Like
Yeah.
if you just want to power lift, that's fine, man. That's your business. But
Yeah.
I mean, hunters, I mean, I think we'd rather be a little bit more functional out there than
Right.
anything.
Yeah. Get your body used to doing what you want it to do in more than just one way.
Right. Exactly.
So, all that being said, would you recommend somebody who's like, okay, yeah, I mean, new year, new me. I felt like I was out of shape this year. Like, scale 1 to 10, how high on your rating would you say, or your recommendation, would you say go find a gym membership of a place like this or something like that?
I mean, definitely a 10, I would
Definitely
say.
a 10. I
Definitely a
figured
10.
you give probably a high rating of something like
Yeah.
that. I guess compared to like just do it yourself. Do it yourself, do your own research versus go and find somebody who kind of will help you write it out for you. I know it's going
Yeah.
to be different strokes for different folks, but
So, I mean, personally, I would probably lean towards finding someone that can write out a program for you.
mhm,
Because if you don't know what you're doing, and like, yeah, it's fine if you want, you can always just look everything up on your own, look all the
mhm,
movements up on your own. Sure, go ahead. It's just definitely you'll save a lot of time if you just go ask someone for
yeah,
help.
yeah. You might
And
spend a little
there's
bit more money, but
you can the thing is like some of these programs, man, they're really not that expensive. Like I hunt hike harvest, I would have to ask Joel his pricing per month, but I know Joel is like he'll work with anybody, whatever with whatever equipment they have. They you could go to Fast, where Hunt Hike Harvest is based out of, and do Fast and
promo.
promo. Um, you could do it there with Joel. That's fine. Or you could just do it remotely and like he'll program like if you only have like a couple things, he'll program whatever you
Yeah,
need. Same thing with like Mountain Tough, same thing with Elk Shape. Like they all these companies have come out with with a certain programming where it's like, okay, you have full access to a gym. Great. Here's workouts for that. You just want to stay at home and do body weight stuff. Here's movements for that.
right.
Like and so it's like the fitness side of hunting has come a long way. I know I've only been in hunting for a year and a half, but it's sounding like fitness in the hunting industry used to be like voodoo crap, essentially. Because I know Cam Haines was really like the one who kind of like kicked it off. Like at least he was one of the bigger guys, like
Big
well-known
names,
hunters
yeah.
out there, big name guys who like really is like, okay, fitness is important to get ready for this hunt type of thing.
Yeah,
So, which is, I mean, it's crazy to me that it used to be like fitness was some voodoo crap that hunters would be like, why would you do that?
yeah,
But then you're like, I mean, I'd rather be in shape when I'm 10,000 feet above sea level, you know?
right,
Uh, that's just, we're running up and down ridges, we're chasing elk. Like, I'd rather be really in shape for that than not.
right. For sure,
So,
for sure. No, I think no, I'm on the same page. If you're somebody who doesn't have a background in like sport and exercise science or like health, fitness, stuff like that, the workout side of it for sure, I would say probably worth your money just to have somebody write you a program. Like you said, you don't need a big time gym membership. You can definitely go do that, but you can also go out there and find somebody that will write you a program with what you have.
mhm. Yeah, I'd love to get one of those guys. I'd like to get Joel on the podcast at some point. I know
Yeah,
he would probably, because he does his own podcast too with Hunt Hike Harvest.
yeah.
So I'm sure
Little
he'd love
collab.
to get on. A
Let's
little
collab
collab,
with them.
no H3O and full fledged pod.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
sweet.
Hmm.
So. All right, the other side of health and fitness, being healthy, comes down to
Mm.
diet. We had talked about it in the last episode we recorded. You got your Chipotle order. You eat Chipotle a decent amount, huh, Brooksy?
Yeah, it's just because it's convenient right now. I know okay, that's one thing I do need to get better at is my diet because yeah, Chipotle is like healthier, but
Right. That's what I was
I
about to
mean,
say. Chipotle is not the worst option. You could be going McDonald's, Taco Bell,
yeah.
and
Oh, dude,
junk.
that kind dude, that kind of stuff. Like I'll have like Raising Canes like once every couple months, and
Yeah.
after I eat it, I'm just like,
You
oh,
got
I feel
grease
like
gut. Like you just feel the
crap.
grease in your gut.
Yeah, and it's just like I never want to eat this again. But it was so good because I barely have it anyway.
Right. Just give you
You
that
know what's
big old
surprised?
dopamine hit.
Yeah, you know what's surprisingly actually not really that bad for you at all is In and Out,
Hmm. We've talked
and
about
like
this when we were together.
because then
Thanksgiving.
they have all their stuff is fresh, and I will say they should probably switch their fries to like a frick. Now I'm
Beef tallow
blanking. Beef
or
tallow, yeah,
yeah.
like a tallow of some sort for sure. That would make them a lot healthier.
Yeah.
But
Avocado
like they're
oil is healthier
Yep.
as opposed to like
But
a grape seed or a canola. All the seed oils for the non-health experts. Seed oils bad. Anything that doesn't say seed or comes from a seed, better. Beef tallow probably the best. Avocado
mhm,
oil better. Like next, probably next, and then down the line. If it says seed, probably try to avoid it. Which we're on our way out. We're trying to get all of our things that say seed out of our kitchen, but we're at the point where it's like, well, we have it. We don't want to waste it and just throw it away. We'll use it, and then when we buy again, we'll upgrade to the better stuff.
yeah. RFK would be really proud of this podcast right now.
Hmm. Baja.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely need to get better on my side of things when it comes to diet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I mostly if I do eat out, it's usually just Chipotle.
Yeah.
And
Which is not the worst
I'll
thing.
no, it's not. And I'll do Panda Express here and there because you I will say for the amount of money you spend at Panda and the amount of calories you get, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Bang for buck there.
Yeah. And like I just usually get white rice and like sesame chicken, teriyaki chicken. And I mean, the sesame sauce is probably not the greatest, but
Right.
it's still like a lot of protein and calories and carbs. So, but like if I do eat at home, then I am eating literally just like regular beef or I'll steak, pork chops, I'll do eggs, I'll do bacon.
Yeah.
I eat a lot, just a lot of meat. I'll do potatoes, I'll do rice. Pretty much those are like my two carbs is potatoes or rice. And I
Right.
really don't go like I'll eat my fruits, my vegetables, stuff like that too. So that's what I eat when I'm at home type
Yeah.
of thing.
No, I mean, if you, the listener or watcher, follow myself on Instagram, you'll see about once a week, every couple weeks, I'll share my wife's stories. We cook every night, just about every night. Maybe once a month, twice a month, we'll eat out. Maybe we'll have lunch out to eat or something like that. But every dinner for sure pretty much is eating at home. And so we've learned how to cook. Super fun, thing for us to do together, but it's also like there were two factors. So when we moved to Nashville, one, I got out of coaching, so that was a lifestyle change in itself. And my new
Mhm.
job, I started working outside. Well, baseball obviously you work outside too, but working outside more, like working outside a full day as opposed to like baseball is like kind of half the day. You're really not doing much. Whereas greenskeeper and what I do now, irrigation work, like you're outside moving 14,000 steps a day, like
Yeah.
you're getting after it more or less every day.
Mhm.
That lifestyle change helped, but then also my diet was a huge thing because coaching, it was like, man, I'm always on the go, eating out, eating out, eating out. When I would eat at home, it was like freezer meals, frozen pizzas, like
Right.
junk food basically all the time. And like I wasn't getting like obese, and I'm like it's not like I was like 270 and now I'm like 200 or whatever. But like I lost 20 pounds pretty fast, and it was like dang. Like I think it mostly attributes to the food because
Hmm.
like just the way I was eating was so bad before. But like
Yeah.
we've done a really good job, I feel like, of like we kind of the whole foods of like a chicken, a potato,
Mm.
veggies, things that are whole foods as opposed to like, they got concoctions of whatever to throw together. Like whole like we season things ourselves as opposed to being like, oh, let's just throw in this sauce and that thing and whatever the label says, it doesn't matter. We do a lot of, or like my wife has gone so far as now like she makes our own pasta, she makes our own pasta sauce, and it's just like almost not to an extreme, but like because there are people that do it like more hardcore than we do, but like we'll do all that stuff so that we're eating just that much cleaner as opposed to what we both had kind of used to do. And I feel like that's such a huge benefit, not only to our just overall health, but like going into like our lifestyle, like being able to perform better because we're eating better.
Right.
So
Yeah, because especially if like when you're in the backcountry too, or if you're hunting and you're eating well,
yeah,
like you're gonna feel good that day. You're not gonna get groggy. And I mean, it's just like practice now, like you guys are doing, and then later on it'll just be muscle memory.
yeah,
And you'll be out in the field, you'll be feeling really good. While there's other people out there that are eating Snickers and everything for breakfast, are gonna
yeah,
feel like crap.
right, for sure. For sure. And then that kind of goes to the next point I wanted to make was like kind of meal prepping a little bit. Like for the elk hunter, you're typically taking like a week or a full weekend and you're out camping it to an extent. Um, like you got to kind of have some meals planned or prepped to go out there. And so, you know, don't make that time the only time that you meal prep and you're eating healthy. Like you prep a healthy meal. Don't make that the only time you're eating healthy is while you're actually out there.
Mm,
Is kind of the
yeah.
point I want to throw out there.
Now, it also depends on like what type of hunting you're doing. Because
Hmm.
if you have a camp, a base camp, then it's definitely a lot easier to pack your food and be able to bring stuff that you normally would eat. But now, if you're backpack hunting, that's a whole different story. You kind of have to bring those
MREs and
like yeah, those type of meals and
meal in
like
a
that just
bag, which is
meal in
fine.
a bag. It's fine for the because if you're only doing it for a week,
Yeah,
fine. Like it's not that big of a deal.
yeah. As
You
long as
need
going into that you
right,
have eaten healthy and done things right, and
right,
you've prepared your whole system for that. But
exactly.
like those things, I've never had them, but like I've kind of looked at them. They're not junk food. Those MREs, like honestly, like if you really wanted to, they're not the best tasting from what I've heard, but
Depends.
they hit your nutritional goals of like, hey, your proteins and your carbs and stuff like that, calories. It's calories in a bag. Munch up.
Yep. Yeah, I mean at that point when you're hunting, you're like I know it's where you're hunting is different compared to out here. Like if you're out here, you just need calories because
Yeah.
you're going so much up and down the
Hmm.
mountain and everything that at that point it really doesn't matter. Just
Right.
get food in you or it's going to be a rough time
Yeah. Maybe avoid the little Debbie's as
for sure. Definitely.
as tasty as they are and as many calories as they throw in per serving, they're probably not the greatest for your gut and feeling good to have stamina. They'll make you feel like junk pretty fast. And that was kind of the other thing I was talking with Caitlin about it last night. I was like, oh yeah, we're talking about food a little bit, and it was like planning your snacks too. Like tree stand hunters, whitetail hunters. It's a pretty big thing. You have snacks. Like you're sitting in your tree, you got nothing else to do. Like okay, maybe instead of like having at the beginning of the season a 24 pack of little Debbie Christmas trees ready to go and you just throw on a couple in every time that you go hunting,
Mhm.
Maybe like you take some jerky from the deer you got before the year before, or
Mhm.
like some if you didn't get one or whatever, you ran out, like
Mhm.
some of those healthier snacks
Jerky's
to
great.
to
I love
munch on
jerky.
there. Protein's good and stuff like that. Because like you get hungry just sitting there. Maybe it's out
Mhm.
of boredom, or maybe it's just that time of day. Like there are a lot of times like I'd get done with work, I'd eat lunch on my way to the spot that I'd hunt, and then even by the
Mhm.
time I was done hunting or getting close to done hunting, midway, whatever, I'll be like, I'm kind of getting hungry again. Supper's not for another like hour or two by the time I get home.
Right.
Like I need something. And so some sort of snack, just being able to have that ready to go. And so the last point I wanted to make, and then whatever else you want to talk about, Brooksy, talking about meal prepping, meal planning. Again, we were talking about it last night. Companies like Chipotle, people,
Mhm.
have you seen this? People will go and like buy a catering order for themselves, and they'll meal prep using a catering order.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
I've never done it. I've seen it, and it's like that's not a bad way to do it. Like if you're a bad cook, like there's people that are not good at cooking. They burn it, they undercook it, whatever. Especially when it comes to like chicken and rice. Like there's people that screw it up. Like they just cannot get it right. And it's like I can't do it. I can't do it. All right. Well, instead of I guess spending money on the groceries, just buy a catering order and a bunch of Tupperware and
Yeah.
scoop some rice, chicken, beans, and I mean it's pretty good. It's not bad.
I mean, I will say Chipotle definitely could put some better ingredients in there to make it a lot better. I think if they did that, oh, they would sell like gangbusters. I mean, they already do, but
Yeah. It, I was giving it some grief last night, but really it is not bad. Like it is pretty good.
Uh,
Their meat could be a little bit more flavorful, but if you make it too rambunctious of flavor, you'll have some people be like, "Ah, it's too spicy. Oh, it's too
mhm.
whatever." Like,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, have them cook it the way that they cook it, and then when you get it, throw a little extra cumin, some chili powder, and a little extra spice, a little extra flavor. You'll be good to go.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I thought I was gonna say something I didn't. I'm not. My bad. I kind of spaced out there for a second.
I saw it. I saw the rocket launch, and you were a space cadet for a minute. No, so those are the big points I wanted to hit on when we decided we wanted to talk on this.
Yeah, no, I think that was it was really good. It's a good starter conversation for more deep dives later on.
Yeah, I think my big takeaway. This will be my closing thought. We went, like I said, we went on one hike this past weekend. I think, and we're looking at probably doing at least a walk, maybe not a full on hike, and taking the dogs, which is always good. Like dogs are like a good encouragement. So if you have a dog, it's like, hey, it is so much easier to just be like, hey, leash up the dog, and we have a leash that you can wrap it like around your waist, and like if you're getting tired, it's probably a bad habit, but like we got the two dogs, and they will pull you, and so like if you're
Yeah,
getting tired, like all right, we're just gonna keep on going.
we're gonna
But
keep
like
trucking.
you're gonna get your steps in, that's for sure. And so, but it's like, hey, a little guilt trip. Like your dogs are just sitting around. Take your dog on a walk. That's as and like I said, like we said earlier, throw a backpack on with 20 pounds worth of gear
Hmm.
and or 20 pounds worth of junk and just walk.
Yeah, just walk.
That's as good, if not better. It's better than nothing, but it's as good as a lot of other things.
Yep, it is. I mean, I 100% agree because like it just start doing something
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
that's
Just
yeah. So that's my takeaways.
really, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to go get a gym membership. I'm not going to start lifting like crazy. I might start lifting here in the near-ish future, maybe in the next 6 months time. But until then, I'll probably stick to maybe a hike a week or every couple weeks, take the dogs on a hike. That's my takeaway, is I'm going to start probably hiking a little bit more because it
There you
felt
go.
good and I don't feel like total crap, and I kind of look forward to another one.
See, always feel good after. That's the thing is like once you start doing it, you'll start feeling good after, and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of addicting. And the next thing you know, you're yelling lightweight, baby, in the gym.
Nothing but a peanut.
Nothing but a peanut.
Yeah, man.
So I guess, yeah, my closing thoughts are kind of the same thing. Just get started. Just do something. If you want to find a gym, find a gym. If you want to be at home and do something on your own, that's fine too. But just do something just to get better, because at the end of the day, the healthier you are during the hunt, the better off the hunt's going to be.
For sure. For sure. We'll throw in another free plug. We've mentioned them a few times. We'll kind of focus it towards hunt, hike, harvest, but them or another third party, whatever, that can help you find maybe a programming. Like if you're lost, you don't know where to look, what to do. Those guys, they'll definitely help you out. And since we're a little bit more closely related to the hunt, hike, harvest guys, give them a look first, and then after that, maybe if they don't totally fit your needs, which I doubt they won't, then look elsewhere. But give
Yep.
them a look, give them a try.
H3O.
H3O. So yeah, good closing thoughts there, Brooks.
Yeah, that was good. Good pod today.
Good pod. Well, with that, we'll wrap her up. We haven't done this in a while. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Give us a follow on social medias. For myself, it's at Justin T. Mulvaney. For the Full Fletch podcast and Full Fletch Archery, it's at _ Full Fletch Archery on Instagram. And then Brooksy, what's your handle?
My handle is at _ Brooks Benson.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, give everybody a follow. Give the podcast a follow wherever you're listening. Give it a like. Give it a rating too. That always helps with the algorithms and shows us that you like what we're talking about. Like, go back and leave a like on ones that you liked, and don't dislike the ones that you didn't like. Just leave them as is. But yeah,
Yeah.
just let us know which ones you really like, so that we can keep making more of the things you guys like to listen to. So
Yes.
yeah, well, appreciate you guys listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys. Have a good one. Thanks.